everybody. So, here I am kicking things off with my birthing story. Now, I've decided to share my birthing story because it's taught me a lot, and I waited a year purposely so that I could make sure that I gained everything from it that I was supposed to. And in that, I'm able to share with y'all. So, when I was pregnant, I found out I was pregnant, I believe it was April 14th of 2017. And in the beginning, I was very, very nervous, very cautious about miscarrying and stuff of that nature. And I remember saying a prayer to God to just ease the panic and anxiety I had. And, I just wanted everything to be okay. And I heard so clearly God tell me, I will take care of you and your child during this entire process. After that, I had not one worry, not one concern when it came to my pregnancy or labor and delivery. Now, I want to hone in on that because I've always dealt with anxiety since I was about 12 years old. And there are times when it can be really, really, really severe. And then times when I'm able to, kind of keep it at bay. So when I was pregnant, naturally, whenever I'm going through a life change, I become anxious. But I was so calm during this whole entire process. So keeping in mind, whenever I would start to begin to worry, even an ounce, throughout my pregnancy, I would remember what I heard so clearly God tell me at the beginning of my pregnancy. And that was very important because little did I know all that I would have to go through after giving birth. So let's fast forward to December 4th. I go into labor at about 11 in the morning, and everything's going fine, just contractions every 2 or 3 minutes. My husband was at work, and my aunt was home with me. So she was like, oh, you should start timing these because these don't seem like Braxton Hicks. It seems like you might be in labor. So I started timing them and seeing like for an hour and a half straight, my contractions were 2 minutes apart. So I call my doctor. She tells me to go to the hospital. The hospital that I was supposed to deliver in was Holy Cross. So my whole pregnancy in my head, I'm going to the Holy Cross that's in Silver Spring, not the one in Germantown. And my doctor tells me, I need you to go to Germantown. And me being dramatic, it's my first baby, I'm in labor. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. And she was like, you're fine, it's your first baby, go to Germantown. I'm fighting her like, no, I think I should go to Silver Spring. What if I don't make it to Germantown? I don't want to have my baby in the car. All the stuff you see in movies. So she said one thing and it changed my whole perspective. She said, Simone, if you go to Silver Spring, I will not be able to deliver your baby. I was like, oh, that's all you had to say. I'll see you in Germantown. So I get to Germantown. Everything's going fine. They're monitoring me. I'm progressing nicely, they say. So they have me walk around the hospital. I'm just walking around for about, this is all while they're monitoring me. I walked around for maybe about a combined total of maybe 2.5, 3 hours. Contractions are still really, really regular. So they decide to admit me to the hospital. And I was like, yes, it's baby time because I was tired of being pregnant. And my due date wasn't until the 15th, but it was December 4th. So I was really, really excited. Like, yes, I can finally kind of have my body back in a sense. So they decide to admit me. My husband texts my mom-in-law and my mom like, yeah, they're going to admit her. So yeah, we're not leaving this hospital without a baby. So I'm really excited. Everything's going fine. My contractions are getting really, really strong. And, it's kicking in for me like, oh, shoot, I'm about to have a baby. Like, when you're pregnant, that's the end goal. But when it's there, it's kind of just like, yeah, this is what we got to do. So, fast forward to maybe I was in labor for 34 hours, let me say that. So I decided to get an epidural. They come and give me the epidural, y'all. My whole pregnancy, I was saying, I'm going to get that epidural. If it get to be too much, I'm just going to get the epidural. Like, I had it all mapped out in my head. And let me just say, it's very seldom that labor goes the way you plan. Okay? So, get the epidural, and I'm just like, yes, I'm good to go now. I can watch TV, I can chill, I can relax till it's time for me to push. The epidural did not work for me. It didn't work. So, I felt every contraction, every push that my body had to go through for the next 34 hours. So my water breaks. The doctor comes in to check to see how much I've dilated, and my water breaks. So they find out when my water breaks that there's meconium in my water, and meconium is the first poop the baby has, which isn't supposed to come out until they're born. So, and the reason that is because it's really sticky, and if they ingest it, it'll make it hard for them to breathe. So my doctor tells me there's meconium in your water, and she explains to me what that means. And then she says, when your baby's born, if she's not breathing, we're going to have a pediatrician on standby. Now, me being somebody who deals with anxiety, I was the most calm. And I was just like, okay, like, cool, and that was the extent of it. So let's fast forward to about 9:00 p.m., December 5th. It's time for me to push, and I'm excited. Like, y'all, I was in so much pain because remind you that the epidural didn't work for me. Oh, let's back up a little bit. Another anesthesiologist came in to give me another epidural, and it didn't work. So, epidural just didn't work for me. So at this point, when you're pretty much fully dilated, the contractions come like this. There's no break. So I was in a lot of pain. So when they came in and checked me, it was like, oh, you're ready to push. I'm excited, like thrilled. So the doctors come, and I began to push. And my whole entire pregnancy, I was never afraid of going into labor. But the part that I worried about was pushing, because I've heard horror stories like, oh, you could be pushing for 2 hours, 3 hours. I'm like, wait, so you in labor all this time and then you got to push that long? So that part freaked me out. But look at God. I pushed for 10 minutes and she was out. So the pushing went well, spectacular.
Around you, baby.
And push down. Push.
Push. Keep going just like that.
Keep going.
Good job.
Push.
6, 7, 8. Good. Breathe and go back to it.
And push.
That's it. There you go. Come on, you can do it. Hold it just like that.
Good.
4,
Good.
5, 6. Good job. One more.
Perfect. Good
Big
job.
deep breath. And push.
That's it.
Push. Keep going. Push.
There you go. Come on, more. Take another breath. One more. You can do it.
Good
And push
job.
down. Push. Hard. Keep going. Push. Keep going.
Good job.
Leave your legs up for a minute.
Slow deep breaths, okay? Let's put that oxygen back on.
You want to slide back. That roller coaster. What's that, Will? That wooden roller coaster.
Push.
Country. The red, white, and the
6,
blue.
7, 8,
Good job.
9.
Awesome. Nice and back on. Right back at it. Push.
Good job. Harder. You can do it.
Good work.
Push.
And push. Hard. Push.
Same thing.
Keep
Good
going.
job. You can do it. You're so close, Simone. So close. One more. You can do it.
That's
Good job.
right.
Good job.
One,
Push, 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 push,
That's
push,
it.
push,
There you go,
push,
honey.
push,
That's
push,
it.
push, 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 push,
six.
Okay.
push, push. You got it.
Lots of
Oh,
pressure.
Simone.
Hang on, hang on.
Yeah.
Breathe.
Yeah.
Big deep breath.
She
And
said
go.
breathe.
ahead.
Take a deep breath and
Push.
push.
Let's do it. All right, there
There
you
you
go.
go, honey.
Okay.
Hey,
Yes.
Excellent.
look at all that hair.
Wow.
Hi, Chuck.
Wow.
Good job.
So we're gonna take her over, okay?
Okay.
Dad, we're gonna just bring her over to
Okay.
Eve.
Wow.
So, as you all see in the videos, Ava wasn't breathing when she was born. And, you know, I just feel like any parent would, if your child comes out and they're not breathing, freak out. And so they take Ava over to the table, and the pediatricians are over there like just pumping her and putting stuff down her throat to suction her out and turning her on her back and hitting her, trying to get her to cry. And I just want to keep drawing in on the fact that anxiety is a struggle for me. And I was the most calm I feel like I've ever been in any type of scary situation. So, Jihad, shout out to my husband, never left my side. And he's holding my hand, and I kind of see the fear in his eyes a little bit. And I look at him and I say, she's going to be all right. She's going to be fine. And I just knew that with like every ounce and every fiber of my being that she was going to be okay. And shortly after, we hear her start to cry. And I just saw the relief like on my husband's face. And I just thought to myself in that moment, God knew then what was going to happen today and prepared my heart and my mind for it so that I could be in a good space. So in my relationship with my husband, he is by nature the calm one. He doesn't overreact. It takes a lot to get him upset. It takes a lot for him to panic, a lot for him to stress. And so nobody can tell me that God didn't prepare me for that, because usually the roles are reversed. So she starts crying, and it's just like the best sound in the world. Like, it's like, my baby, that's my baby. Like, that's my baby, you know? It doesn't really sink in for a while, but I'm just like, I just had a baby. I just put the baby out. That's my baby. So that was just the beginning. Little did me and Jihad know that was literally the beginning. So we're just really, really excited, like, to have her in our arms, and she's breathing and she's beautiful. And we're like, who baby is this? Because you look Hawaiian, like, but I know you're mine because I just had you. So it was like just the most beautiful thing. And the next video you'll see is right after they got her to breathe, and it was my first time holding her, and Jihad's first time holding her.
Yeah, she's
But
doing that.
it's kind of difficult for me from this position.
Trying to get that thumb in
It'll be easier once you can latch on when you're sitting there. When you're sitting up.
Mm-hmm.
there. See this one up in here.
What else?
She's strong.
Mm-hmm. What I said.
What's the matter? Are you hungry?
Help her, Daddy. She's trying to get the thumb in her mouth.
Mm-hmm. She gonna fall like that when you. Ready? You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy When skies are gray, you never know, dear, how much I love you. So please don't take my sunshine away. I think you remember.
That's all feels like
Right.
recorded.
So, hi, Snapchat. Can I just explain to y'all, like, how blessed I am? Yesterday, I gave birth to a lovely 7 pound, 12 ounces little girl, and we are both doing well. And the entire 34 hours that I was in labor, I had an amazing husband who stayed by my side. He didn't leave, not one time. And now we are just like incredibly tired, but grateful in the tiredness and for the reason why we're tired. So to everybody who was asking, Ava is here, and I will share her with you all probably tomorrow.
So now we're at recovery and the postpartum rooms. And we have Ava, and Jahad notices that she has like this little shake that she does every so often. And I'm like, I don't really know if that's normal, but like I'm kind of out of it. My body's tired and pain. So shout out to my husband. Y'all didn't sleep. Y'all, I lied to you not. For 4 days straight, he did not sleep. He was like super dad. I could not have picked a better partner. So, Ava, I just had in my mind that I wanted to breastfeed. I knew that I wanted to breastfeed. And I didn't want to give her formula. So when the doctors or the nurses came in and they're like, oh, do you want to give her formula? I'm like, no. I just want to keep trying to get her to latch. I want to get her the latch. So then a nurse practitioner comes in and she's like, oh, it's fine if she doesn't eat, for like 24 hours. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I can just keep trying. But in that time, her sugar level drops drastically low. And they're pricking her in her feet every 3 hours just to see if she has a high reading and if she's sustaining her blood sugars in between her feedings. And she wasn't. And as a new mom, all this stuff that's going on is crazy and it freaks you out. So after maybe about the 8th time of them pricking her in her foot, like a diabetic has to take their blood. They were doing that for her, but they had to prick her in the heel of her foot. After about 10 times, I like bawl. I just break down and I bawl. Because I'm like, what's wrong with my baby? Like, I just went through her being born and she's not breathing. And now you're telling me that her blood sugar is low. Like, what does that mean? It was just so many things just running through my mind. And the nurses were telling me, well, we have to have 3 consecutive readings of her blood sugar above and whatever number it needed to be based on how long she had been alive. So she would have one high reading and then one really low and then another one in the middle, then another not quite there. So they had to admit her to the NICU. I bawled. Y'all, I bawled. So Jihad is like trying to keep me from getting, upset so my pressure doesn't go up. Like, he handled everything. So when they had to admit her to the NICU, they come in and they tell Jihad that they need to talk to him. So that scares the crap out of me because I'm like, what? Like, what's going on with my child? And Jihad goes and talks to them and they say that, they have to insert a catheter through her belly button into her liver to jumpstart her blood sugar. At the time, that seemed like just the worst thing in the world. And y'all, when I tell you, I don't think I've cried so much. I just didn't know what to do. I'm like, is she going to make it? Like, I don't know what any of this means. And I ended up having to give her formula in the hospital until my milk came in. And then when my milk came in, I would just pump every, I think it was every 2.5 hours for 15 minutes. I would just pump and eventually supplement it. Didn't have to use the formula as supplementation. So I had her on a Tuesday. Me and Jahal went home on Friday, and we had to go back and get her on a Saturday. And y'all, God is just so good. The moral of my story is God is so good, because I don't know if I had not heard that from him, if I would have been as at peace as I was during this whole situation. I don't think I could have done it. I don't think if my husband was there, I could have done it. And I just know that God strategically places people in your life for seasons and reasons. And I am just so, so incredibly thankful that I had the team that I had, and the support that I have, and just the relationship with God that I have. And that means the most, because that would have been a traumatic experience for me. I hope that this helps somebody. I don't know in what way, but God kept landing on my heart to share my birthing story, because I wasn't for a while. Because this is honestly the first time that I have been able to tell this story and not cry. And if you want to know why I'm so obsessed with my child, that's why. Because when my child was born, she wasn't breathing, and the outcome of her life could have been different, and in turn, changing my life. So I'm just so, 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 so grateful. And I just want to urge everybody to be grateful and thankful for what it is you go through. Be grateful and thankful for what it is you have, what it is you don't have. And, just be grateful, y'all. Like, I don't know what else to say. I'm trying to think of a better word, but just gratefulness. Just be grateful.